It's in my pocket.
Woo! Stick around, stick around. All right, guys. All right, thank you, guys. If you want more water, too, Saratoga water's up on the bar. There's cases here. Take one, take two. How do I switch this slide? All right, we're gonna continue the chat on Experiential and Brand Activation Summit. So let's give a warm welcome. Jeff Boedges, Managing Partner of SoHo Experiential. Bohb Blair, Chief Marketing Officer, Jones Soda, and Chief Brand Officer, Mary Jones Cannabis.
All right. Yay. All right, this is where we take our shirts off. Okay, well, anyway, thank you all for staying and listening to us, especially after such a great talk from Casey and his partners there. We're excited to be here. So, again, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Jeff Boedges. I'm one of the founding partners at SoHo Experiential in New York. As part of our agency, we specialize in what we have affectionately called sin brands, but really what we also look at is highly regulated markets. And one of those markets we've been branching out to is cannabis and legal cannabis. So we have a podcast that we run called The Green Repeal, and we were very fortunate last July to have Bob for the first time as a guest on that show. And we had really a far-ranging conversation that we really enjoyed. So we were very stoked to come here and get to start to revisit some of those questions and see how things are developing. So for those of you who, I'm going to guess there's a couple of you who don't regularly listen to The Green Repeal, I'm going to start with some of the questions.
These people.
I don't know. I mean, it's like, I'm sure most of them are. But anyway, so I guess really first, Bob, why don't you share a bit about your background? Jones Soda, and specifically Mary Jones. I may have had a before, but yeah. Anyway, why don't you share a little bit about your background and your story?
Getting the call to be CMO of Jones Soda was pretty righteous. That was about 18 months ago. And, for those of you who don't know, Jones is a 25-plus year brand, iconic craft soda brand. I've loved them forever. I'm from Michigan, which is actually, I've only found out recently, one of our strongholds. So, like, when you're from Michigan, you're like, no, Jones. So I was thrilled to get the call, and I was already saying yes before they said the second part, which is because we need you to develop a cannabis brand. And then I started doing backflips. I high-fived my wife. So, it was a really nice serendipitous opportunity for me that kind of came out of the blue.
Yeah, so how much experience with cannabis did you have prior to stepping into this role?
Well, I'm a huge stoner, so I've enjoyed it in the recreational
Raise your hand if you're a huge stoner. All right.
I also
sold
I sold a lot of eighths out of my dorm room, so I have experience in the legacy market. You can apply these learnings as you go forward. I don't think the industry's changed that much, to be honest.
All right, that's cool. That's great. I think most people who are in this business have some experience in the legacy market. I like to say I was in sales in college and put that on my resume. All right, so for those of you who are unfamiliar with Jones Soda and Mary Jones Cannabis, can you tell the guests more about the origins of the cannabis side of Jones Soda? And, well, actually both sides.
Yeah, Mary Jones went to market starting in July of last year in California. Really amazing. It comes in a 10 milligram single serving glass bottle that looks just like our mainline product and tastes just like our mainline product. But then we discovered that there's these wonderful people that love chugging 100 milligrams of cannabis soda. So we made them a tall boy. It comes in a 16 ounce tall boy can, 100 milligrams of weed in it, and they love that. And then recently we launched our mixing syrups, which are kind of a versatility thing, cocktails, mocktails, put it on ice cream, and that's been really interesting on premise at the emerging consumption lounges and parties that are going on.
Awesome. And you guys talk a lot about being flavor forward. So for those of you, again, new to cannabis, a 10 milligram can of cannabis or of cannabis infused cocktail is probably enough to get the average Joe pretty relaxed.
Yeah.
100 milligrams is enough to put
impressive.
Average Joe.
But I was listening to the guy from Fuck That's Delicious. What's that guy?
Oh man, I don't know.
Anyway,
I need to be on that
he's
show.
awesome. And Action Bronson. I was listening to Action Bronson talking with Mike Tyson, and they were comparing how much weed they ingest before getting on a flight. 100 ain't nothing, is all I'm saying. These guys.
We've had some people on our Green Repeal show that have said that they start
kick it into
with
the 500 plus overdrive scene real
But
fast.
that's what they need to sort of feel right.
All I'm saying is different strokes for different folks. Try whatever you like.
Okay, but let's face it, Jones is not selling on price for potency. You guys are selling
that's what's
on
been fun.
flavor.
Yeah, we're totally on flavor, and I think as people get into the edible formats and especially beverage, what you see is the ability to use it in a situation that you're used to using alcohol. And that 10 milligram dosage that you mentioned, for me, it's really about the same as having like a really strong beer when you're drinking it and you kind of start to notice it before you finish the first one.
Right.
And I don't know, I think it's really neat. Also, if you're drinking your weed, faster up, faster down, so you can really treat it like it's like part of the party.
That's been one of the big problems with ingestibles or edibles in the cannabis space, though, is a lot of people will say, especially for the first time, oh, it's not affecting me. I'll have another. Oh, it's still not affecting me. I'll go ahead and have the third. And then they start speaking to light switch covers.
Yeah, Jeff, I don't want to drop a bunch of science on you or anything.
But I'm here, I want to hear about some microemulsion.
Ingested distillate has a tendency to take a certain amount of time. Sublingual emulsified distillate goes a lot faster. And so, everybody's body's a lot different, but I'd be surprised if you aren't feeling our soda in like 7 or 8 minutes. And so it's really noticeable while you're drinking it, what you're feeling, and you can adjust your high as you want to.
Right. And how many people do you feel like right now are starting to make the jump from, I'm going to have 3 beers with my friends while I've got the grill going and throwing some horseshoes? I threw some horseshoes last night.
Almost only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades, Jeff.
Yes. Well, thank you for saying so. But again, so if I wanted to do that, could I spend an afternoon, drink 3 of these 10 milligram beers and still be relatively functional?
I encourage you to try.
All right. Well,
I have a bunch of weed-infused candies in my pocket, so talk to me after the thing. Yeah.
Unless you have a badge, and not
they
that
need
kind
it more than anyone.
All right. So it obviously Jones Soda was a very well-known brand name in the craft soft drink space, and frankly still is. So tell us how basically that brand has helped raise the awareness and I think trial and I think even acceptance of a weed-infused
I think that's 100%
drink.
what it is. First of all, our brand promise is same Jones and more merry. It tastes the same. It looks the same. We do all the stuff. We still take your photo. We put it on the bottle. Please send it in. You'll get on our next batch. And, we do all the things that Jones is famous for. When we came into cannabis, we were warned about how hard it is to break into retail, and we're the fastest growing retail brand in California history because I think that name familiarity made retailers comfortable to bring us in. We're already in 275 dispensaries. We're already on Ease. We're already in all the places that other brands take a long time to penetrate those retail accounts. And so I think that power brand unlocked those doors for us and made it possible to get in the market really fast.
Yeah, and when you talked about, on our first podcast, you were talking about how when you really kind of explored your current Jones Soda customer. And one of my favorite parts of that first interview was, I guess it was somewhat shocking to you coming from your background into soda that your demographic was a little older than the average soda consumer. And how did that help you with, right on cue?
She did a spit take. I love it. That's my wife. Mm-hmm. The amazing thing about the Jones Soda consumer is that we are an adult soda brand, which is interesting. They've aged with the brand. But when you look at familiarity with the brand, you look at trial of the brand, we've been used by 1 in 10 households in the US and Canada over the last year. When we went out to bud tenders, who decidedly are younger than our core mainline consumer, they all know the brand and they're excited about the brand. So the brand equity vastly outpaces the current business of the craft soda market. In the craft soda market, even if you're the number 1 craft soda brand, which we are, that category is dipping and that consumer is getting older, and that makes sense. And so for us to take that equity and move it over to another industry where it's a different consumer, but they want the flavor, they want the brand, they want that kind of quality product, it makes a lot of sense.
All right, so it was a relatively easy shift, would you call it? Or
it's been one of those shifts where your fans and everybody around you basically high fives you for doing the shift. Like, it's been amazing. Like, there's been not one. We even were worried, like, are we going to get that angry call from Walmart because we launched a cannabis beverage.
Yeah, it's a
We've only
legitimate
gotten
concern.
happy calls from Walmart. We've only been added to Target cafes since this occurred. All these mainline environments are thrilled at the attention we're bringing to the brand, so they're more than happy to take us in, even in the mainline environments.
Are they thrilled with the attention to legal cannabis?
They're thrilled at the attention.
All right. Any press, any PR is good PR.
There's been no negative, though, yet, and we keep waiting for it, but it hasn't happened.
All right. So, new markets, right? I mean, right now we were in California 6 months ago.
Correct.
How are we doing on expansion?
We're currently announced Washington, and we're on the books to get in our home state of Washington, and then I'm very thrilled to announce that we're about to launch in Michigan and Nevada as well.
Okay, great. That's amazing. That's really big. When is that going to happen?
I'm going to optimistically say early summer.
Okay, so those of you from one of those states, you'll be able to get your own Jones soda, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you won't have
Mary
to get it on
Jones
the
will be
gray
at your
market.
beck and call in more and more places.
Loving it. We should get like that delivery service. Oh, they have those.
You can get it delivered within 45 minutes. Oh, the gods are attacking us for making non-sanctioned announcements.
I think the CEO of Walmart just pushed that over on us. All right. So, well, I mean, one of the things that occurs to me is most dispensaries that I've been in, they really aren't, they don't have cold boxes. What are you guys doing, and how are you marketing it differently or the same in dispensaries versus traditional
every
retail?
state has different rules on how you shop, right? And I
Right.
think, there's the Wild West states of like Oregon and Arizona where people are just going crazy and, everything's out and it's, do you want to try this? Let me crack it open
Right.
and let you smell it, right?
Right.
Then there's markets like where I live in Chicago, Illinois, where everything's behind the glass and like you might be able to look at like the thing, but you can't touch it, and you have to add your order on a kiosk. It's kind of
New Jersey is the
it's
same. In
forced
fact, they
to be
have
that,
a giant vacuum tube that brings your weed down to you. No, it's like
Which
Willy Wonka.
they're trying to make it cool, but I think nothing is as fun as reaching into a cooler and grabbing a cold, sweaty glass bottle,
For sure.
cracking open that top of Mary Jones, and drinking it down right in the parking lot. Am I right, people? Am I right? But that experience is only available in some markets, and that's the romantic experience you want. We'll install a fridge at your dispensary if you want to have one, because we want you to have that experience, but not all markets can do it.
Yeah, it'll be interesting when you guys do the visual ads for that, because obviously, everybody wants to have that.
Yeah.
The old
Anybody good at
beer
mnemonics? Thanks.
Yeah, we need beatboxers or something. All right, so what are the big obstacles for your next markets or the markets that you're getting ready to expand into?
Yeah, it's manufacturing capability almost across
Right.
the board. It's already hard enough being cannabis. It's harder to be an edible brand. It's even harder to be a beverage brand. Trust me, I didn't realize this. It's even harder when you're a carbonated beverage brand because the manufacturing requirements just keep going up, 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 up. And so basically, we are held at bay by the ability of our partners to make our product. And as soon as we find a partner who's invested in beverage manufacturing capability with a cannabis license, we're giddy up, ready to go.
Yeah, I think that's lost on a lot of people who aren't familiar with how cannabis works. In order to be in the cannabis game, you got to have really one of three primary types of licenses. You can make, you can distribute, and you can sell at retail, similar to wine and spirits. However, unlike wine and spirits, you can have complete vertical integration. So there are people that call themselves seed to sale.
And you can't ship your finished product across state lines, and you can't ship your supply chain across state lines. You have to replicate your business in every state that you operate
In every single state, which, for bottled beverages, actually kind of plays into your strengths.
It's probably one of the reasons Big Soda can't do is what we're doing as comfortably, because Jones honestly has been operating in a scrappy independent network way for years, and so it's kind of comfortable for us.
Right. Okay, cool. So that you bring up a good point, though. How long before the big brands? How long before we can get Coca-Cola weed?
I hope just a few more years until I've had a chance to be in every market ahead of them.
All right. Awesome. Okay, well, let's switch gears a little bit. So let's talk a little bit about marketing. So one of the things I'm really excited about, you guys have recently rolled out, sorry, pun. Yeah, thanks. I'm a dad, so I tell dad jokes. It's a habit. Anyway, you rolled out a new zine, Mary Zine, which I got to be honest is a little counterintuitive. Most people are not rolling out zines right now. Most people are shutting them down.
First of all, shame on me for not having a pile of them right here because they're in my hotel room just a few blocks away, but I forgot them. Yeah, we are going counterculture in the most awesome way. We launched a very high-touch paper printed 90s style rock and roll zine style zine. It is called Mary Zine. But what's interesting about it is, first of all, we hired this unbelievable artist who publishes this renowned zine called Galactic Zoo Dossier on Drag City Records. Shout out to South by Southwest Music Festival. And so we really went with somebody incredible at doing this, but he hand draws and hand writes the entire zine. But what he's talking about are, when we're out in the market and we're at dispensaries, it would not shock anyone to know that bud tenders are disproportionately cool people.
They tend to be a little.
They tend to be awesome, and they tend to do something outside of work that is extra awesome. So you'll run into these bud tenders that are like renowned skateboardists, or like on an indie label musicians, or have a photography exhibit at this local gallery, or whatever it is.
Right.
So what we do is we find these people and then we interview them and we celebrate their cultural contribution to the world, not their professional necessarily. And we promote their bands, we promote their art projects. In the current issue of Mary Zine, we have a woman that went to the Day of the Dead in Oaxaca, Mexico, and did a photojournalism thing. We published all that in our zine. First edition of the zine, we published 30,000 copies of it. You can only get it for free at a dispensary that carries Mary Jones. We're already out, we're already reprinting, we're already working on the second edition, and the publication is completely and exclusively composed of contributed content from bud tenders, the cannabis community, and our fans.
That's really awesome, but it sounds more like a lifestyle play than weed.
Well,
is there anything in there about cannabis?
It's trade, it's consumer. For as far as cannabis, we think of it as like a cannabis compendium. Like, no offense to you guys in the media, but there's not that many media vehicles in cannabis that you would want to engage with while you're high. Most of them are about laws and about the industry and about who got arrested last week. It's like, God forbid, you have something that you would use while you're using the products.
Right.
That was our lens on Mary Zine, and so it feels of cannabis culture, but it's not about selling anything.
Okay. Any plans on doing, like, there's a lot of celebrities in weed now. I mean, and it's probably one of the more ambitious sides of the industry, where you see a lot of new sort of thinking around that. Jones Soda has a history of great sort of found content with their consumers submitting photos, and he thought about making the jump into a celebrity Mary Jones.
Well, if I'm going to be kind of pointed about it, I guess what I would say is all those brands need a celebrity because they don't have a 25-year legendary brand to attach themselves to.
Okay.
We are Jones, and our celebrity comes from being that brand already. If we have a big fan that wants to partner us, we're right here ready to go, just like we are for all of our fans.
10-4, I got you. Okay. So, all right, so let's talk a little bit about, about what I do for a living, experiential or events. So in my day job, I produce events of all sizes, all kinds, a lot in the adult beverage category. Trying to promote events and trying to throw out free joints to everybody here. It's sort of, it's not quite as simple as what we might be able to do with anything else. So tell me, what do you have coming up? What are you thinking about in the experiential front for Jones Soda?
Experiential's been really fun for us in a couple ways. One is that we launched this product, the syrup that I mentioned. It's 100 milligram syrup in this little glass bottle. And we were thinking people would use it to make mocktails and cocktails, some with alcohol, some without, whatever, and fuse them all and have a lot of fun with it. I was underestimating the culture of private parties where cannabis beverage is poured. And what there is this huge network of bartenders in the LA and San Francisco area who work these parties and set up bars and pour cannabis drinks. They love our product, and we've been selling it to them wholesale so that they can take it to a bar and pour drinks and sell them at a cash bar. And it's just been an unbelievable thing that I didn't know even was happening, and it's been embraced in that way. And then Woody Harrelson's dispensary, The Woods, features Mary Jones on their bar, and we do Mary Jones Mondays at The Woods every Monday, so go over there. All the serving trays at their dispensary are Mary Jones serving trays. We do like a bottle service there. You got to get out there and try it. But we do like a bottle service there where you get a bottle of Mary Jones, which is 100 milligrams, but it's served on a tray with ice and glasses and mainline Jones to mix with it.
So it's bottle service.
So we're teaching people like a bottle service cannabis experience, and where mainline and cannabis products merge together in the occasion.
All right, so big question. Are these licensed accounts for cannabis on premise, or are we...
There's nothing illegal about this. This is 100% what they're doing now. You're seeing only a few consumption lounge licenses in each market because I think people are testing it.
Right.
You're also seeing it happen at music festivals, and so there's environments where consumption is happening, and we are all about that, and we're going full tilt into that area, and we're really loving how we're being embraced there.
No, I love that, because that's, I think, when we were talking about how do we create marketing campaigns, how do we borrow the equity, borrow the key learnings from wine and spirits, and put those same type of best practices to work in cannabis. And I think we've been waiting for that shoe to drop, and so you're the first person to kind of tell me that it seems like it has.
Well, it's emerging, and we're trying to emerge, and by that I mean kick it in the butt a few times because we want to go even faster. But then when we get out of the consumption lounge environment, we've been having a lot of fun with the Mary Jones coolers. We bought a fleet of rideable cruising coolers, and then we hired different graffiti artists from the LA area to each come and kind of paint it however they wish,
Wow.
being inspired by one of our flavor colors. Oh my God. The cream soda one just got finished, and it's like awesome. So we make all this content out of the artist doing the cooler, which we do at these parties and stuff, and it's so awesome. Go on our Instagram, you'll see all of it. But then we ride these things around, and we do like ride-alongs outside on Venice Boulevard, and we do ride-downs on Sunset and give away Jones soda, just regular Jones soda.
Right.
And people love it. And then we have a couple favorite accounts. I'll call out Doobie Nights up in San Fran, and I'll call out Planet 13 down in Santa Clara. But they will let us park the cruising cooler in their dispensary and do obstacle course rides. And we've been getting people, and they've been cruising
Before or
around like
after we
Maine.
consume?
I don't. They drive better after, I think. But they've been crazy on these things, and so we just, no one else is doing something that nutty because no one's there to tell us not to do it. So we just have a lot of fun.
Well, I will say there's a lot of gray area in legal right now in cannabis, so it's probably the golden era. Anybody who lives in New York knows you can pretty much go into any bodega now and get whatever you like, which was sort of a shock to me, but I'm glad to hear California's pulling their weight on pushing the
It's fun to do it on the up and up. You don't have to look over your shoulder at all. You can just kind of do it and have fun.
Well, if you've got legacy market experience, it's still hard to not be like, let me tell you what I got.
I think the weed got you higher because you thought you were going to get arrested.
For sure. All right, so let's talk a little bit about I guess, hold on, let me move to the next topic here.
Page 2, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh boy.
Actually, page 3. So we've been mentioning the 100 milligram stuff, and I'm just really kind of curious. When we talked last time, it seemed like California had put the poo-poo on the 100 milligram.
They put the poo-poo on my 1,000 milligram.
Oh, it was the 1,000
Yeah, I had a
milligram.
1,000 milligram Big Guns one, and probably for good reason I'm not allowed to put it out. So I know. Don't judge me. It sounded fun at the time.
But is this something we can get at the brand home? When you go to brand homes, you can usually get like the select version.
We have some crazy stuff on the bench top at home base at all times.
All right. So how do I get an invitation to the brand home?
You know a guy. Jeff, you know a guy.
All right, so I'm going to just drop a
Secret
hint
password,
there.
please.
Right. So I got time for one more question before we turn it over to the audience. Okay, great. So, well, let's see. We covered that. All right. So I think pretty much we've covered what I wanted to get done today. But I guess what things, since we last spoke in the last 6 months, have you really learned? What's the thing that surprised you most in the last 6 months?
Right now, on a unit velocity standpoint,
Marketers.
but our 100 milligram sodas sell at the exact same rate as our 10s.
What's the price difference?
A lot. And, it's a $5 MSRP versus a $20 MSRP. But what's interesting about that is that consumer, right? I know it's a multi-dose, 100 milligrams officially on our packaging is 16 servings.
It says, oh, 16. I thought I saw 10.
That allowed me to get the calories per serving lower. Don't judge me.
All good.
But what's interesting is, you think of it as a party pitcher. You think you're going to pour it out. The reality is there's a lot of consumers who want to chug that thing. There just are. And it's not for us to say how you want to use this product, but the reality is that people are buying 100 milligram products as if they're single serving.
Right.
And that's California. And I'm going, okay, it's California, whatever it is. But as I look at the market data in Oregon, in Washington, in Michigan, you're seeing that story actually elevate. And so the surprise to me, as really an honest, hand-raising stoner, who would have massively been intimidated by the idea of ingesting 100 milligrams, there is a large amount of consumers who are very comfortable at that dosage. And so I think, like everything else in the world, don't bring too much of your own weed bias into the game. Look at how the consumers of today are embracing the category and what products they want and what they're leaning towards. And for us, it's like find a way of making those taste amazing because that's what they want to do.
And is it a problem making them taste amazing? Is it harder to make?
Probably nothing. These things are amazing.
All right, that's cool. All right.
We have the advantage of an in-house flavor scientist on the Jones team who formulates all of the Mary Jones products, and so she's been just a godsend to us to be able to just have that in-house capability.
Okay.
Shout out to Sarah.
Weed science and flavor science. So who does the weed science part? Who's doing the THC piece?
Luckily, I have some technical leaders who all are capable of these matters, and I get to be the Grand Poobah taster.
Every job has its perks. All right,
man.
Well, cool. Jeff, I'm going to turn that over to you then, man.
Grand Poobah taster, I love it. We have time for a question right here. Here. Mike.
Hi, I'm Lorianne. I'm with IZEA. We do influencer marketing, and this is actually very timely because I've been speaking with another CBD brand about how we can do this legally with our legal team. So I know we've talked about different things like topicals versus ingestibles and Script Express or Script MD approvals. How do you handle that in terms of content and marketing right now, given the states that you're in? And do you see any, next steps on the horizon as you look to further promote the brand?
I liked how Jeff put a category around what you like, which is highly regulated, right? And I've worked in pharmaceutical, I've worked in booze, I've worked in tobacco, and now I'm working in cannabis. And I think the notion of highly regulated is actually pretty fun because it gives you a very strict environment that you have to play in. That being said, I draw a huge line in between CBD topicals and THC cannabis-infused beverages. The occasion's massively different. The wellness offering is squint, nudge, nudge on my side, And so I think that notion of why are you selling and what are you selling and what are you trying to communicate matters a lot when it comes to that and whether you have to navigate regulatory waters. Cannabis right now is in a state where most of your money should be spent behind the doors of the retail dispensary because that's where a lot of things are happening. And right now, cannabis beverage is only 3% of the cannabis market from retail sales. And so there's 97% of dollars already on the table inside the doors that I should be getting my hands on before I'm worried too much about all the job to be done outside the store, right? That being said, we've started to spend all of our experiential sponsorship dollars in non-endemic cannabis environments. Because I think that we're at a point where your adult consumer, especially in a high cultural environment, you're going to be talking to 70% cannabis users anyway if you're just at a music festival. So just go ahead and be there. And so we've had a lot of success showing up at food and music festivals that weren't necessarily cannabis. And I think the Jones brand gives us a little permission to show up wherever we want. But we've been excited to see ourselves there. As far as that regulated space of advertising goes, there's companies that specialize in it. The scale is incredibly small, so you better make sure you have great margins on the thing you're advertising.
So I got an idea. Cream soda, like topical cream. Yeah, no, that you can have that for free.
It's for your partner to get high on? Jeff, where are you going with this?
Well, that's an idea too. Actually,
Jeff started early, guys. He started early.
That's true.
I mean, you can't say it better, but I got a guy. His name's Bob, right? Let's give a round of applause.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Bob.